I'm from Trinidad and Tobago, and I grew up in post-independence Trinidad, so that has had quite an influence on my work. I've been really concerned with the legacies of colonialism. I've been unpicking that for a long time and doing lots of research around how colonialism still textures the Caribbean in many ways. A friend of ours sent us this circa 1930 picture, Blood Alley, and it consisted of all these sacks hanging from one warehouse to the other, just drying, with dockers at the bottom of it, trucking the sacks of sugar. And it was called Blood Alley because, you know, it was really the West India dock, so the sugar was coming from the Caribbean and it was offloaded there. The dockers would throw the bags of sugar over their backs, but by the end of the day, their backs would be bleeding, you know, and I just thought, oh my God, you know, it was such a powerful image that this bittersweet commodity that was coming from the Caribbean, which we all love so much, but caused so much pain and shed so much blood. But that image stuck with me for a long time, the image of the sacks hanging, drying. I got really interested in the enslaved woman and her body, how her body had become the site of oppression. But what I really became interested in was how she used her body as well as a site of resistance. Nani is very present, and Nani is one of the Jamaican heroes, the only Jamaican woman hero, actually. She is a Maroon. She escaped from slavery and went into the hills and formed her own Maroon community, but she was very strong and she was very smart and actually outsmarted the English so many times that in the end they decided the only way to win her was to actually sign a treaty with her. So in 1740, a treaty was signed with Nani, with the English, and that was the only way they really gained peace, because Nani was just too powerful for them and too smart. Nani used her abeng, which she holds in her right hand. So they use the abeng, which is a sort of a horn, to send messages to each other. This is something that the English could not understand. They did not understand that codified language that the Maroons use between each other with the abeng. So the abeng is a very important part of her resistance. Anansi is about the storytelling, and storytelling is one of the aspects of African culture that remained with the African Caribbean and with the African Americans as they went through hundreds of years of slavery. And if you can just imagine that after a hard day of work on the plantation, you know, returning to their little log cabins in the evening and actually telling stories to each other, it must have been quite a relief for them. But it's also a way of them holding on to their heritage and a way of them passing this heritage on from one generation to the next. It was part of the oral history that lasted. Anansi is really the symbol of resistance. The stories really enable them to form their own resistance mechanisms on the plantation. The names on the sacks actually come from the Black Cultural Archives, where I did some research. The Black Cultural Archives have indentures from the Gale plantation, and I visited the archives in 2019, I think, to look at these indentures. For the first time, I had actually seen an indenture that had all the names of the slaves on it. And so the names come from that indenture. I've given them the title of Miss because on the plantation, you know, they could never be called Miss, because Miss was a title that was reserved for white women. I wanted to give them back their humanity. And so everyone has been given the title of Miss. Cowrie shells feature a lot in the exhibition because cowrie shells were actually the form of money used to buy enslaved people. They're also a sign of femininity. And I've paired them up with gold-plated 20 and 22 karat gold beads to once again, imbue them with value, but also to express the commodification of the enslaved woman and her womb. Aren't I a Woman comes from Sojourner Truth's famous speech, Ain't I a Woman? Deborah Gray Wright uses Aren't I a Woman, which I really liked a lot. But I have changed, it's a question. Sojourner Truth asks in her famous speech, Aren't I a Woman, with a question mark. But after doing the research for this project and realizing, oh my God, these women were really such strong, stoic women, I decided to change the question mark to an exclamation mark.